Well, everyone, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Elisa Ewan, and I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations here at Teachers College. And we're so appreciative that everyone's here joining us today for our second virtual program featuring alumnus Jhon Velasco. We had such an overwhelming positive responses from the first meditation session that we had to ask Jhon to present another one. This program is brought to you by Alumni Relations as part of TC's Come Together Right Now virtually series. Although many of us are staying at home right now, we're just so grateful to our alumni experts like Jhon, who've stepped forward to offer digital programs that will bring the TC community together to learn, share, and connect with one another. Today, Jhon will present Meditation, the journey from movement to stillness of the mind. Jhon has earned his master's in health education from Teachers College in 2005, where he focused on meditation and other Eastern forms of wellness and healing. He currently works for the National Hemophilia Foundation as the Manager of Education and Training. Additionally, he also serves as an independent consultant, designing and implementing international public health lectures and trainings and workshops on topics focusing on mental wellness, PTSD, stress management, meditation, motivational speaking, and social injustice. A consistent theme in his career has been the development, implementation, and analysis of new and existing public health projects for a variety of global communities, specifically underserved populations. A common theme amongst these projects is his commitment to working with individuals and groups to improve their lives through education, mentorship, and empowerment. Jhon is also a certified yoga and meditation instructor and has practiced throughout the Americas, Europe, and Southeast Asia. If you have any technical or audio issues, please feel free to chat me directly in the chat box. And now, please help me welcome back Jhon Velasco.
Thank you so very much. What a beautiful introduction, and it is such a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you all today. And I'm really excited to begin the conversation about meditation and begin the discovery of the practice of what we call mindfulness. So let us begin. I will tell you that this is a journey. And I am very privileged to be part of this journey. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more about that journey. But as you all know, the state of the world may appear to be spiraling right before our eyes, whether if it's social media, whether it's looking at the news, whether it's hearing about what's going on in our community. I mean, I think it is safe to say that the state of our world and our communities is in a little bit of disarray. I talk a lot about light and darkness, and I feel like there's this incredible darkness that we are going through. But as we all know, that only through the darkness can we see the stars and can we see the light. Truly believe that we have the ability to move forward from here and move forward not just with genuine authenticity of love and compassion, but the opportunity to learn something about ourselves and about the world around us. Meditation is just one of those vehicles that perhaps can help us aid and move forward with a little bit more love, a little bit more compassion, and a little bit more hope. So we're going to be looking at some of the principles and just a beginning dialogue of what meditation is and how to begin a meditation practice in our lives. Because I truly believe that meditation can help alleviate that pattern of swirling thoughts. And those swirling thoughts are not just the thoughts in our heads, but the thoughts that are around us, and just the bombardment of just constant information that we're getting on a regular basis. So we're going to be looking at what meditation is. We're going to be looking at the benefits of meditation. We're going to also look at a little bit more of just a little bit of the scientific perspective of meditation, as that there's a lot of great research that is happening now. And then we're also going to have, and I invite you all to be part of 3 simple little meditation practice that we're going to be doing here. So no worry, you don't need any, you don't need a special seat, you don't need bells, you don't need any of that. All you need is the will and your body and the desire to move forward. And then we're also going to look at how to incorporate some of these principles of meditation into your lives. So Meditation. One way to define meditation is looking at the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and doing it non-judgmentally. It's about being single-focused. And this is a quote by Jon Kabat-Zinn. And I've been very fortunate to have met Jon Kabat-Zinn actually at Teachers College. When I was doing my studies there, he actually gave a 3-day conference. And that conference was about meditation and mindfulness. So I was able to join a couple of lectures of his and also be part of some of the meditations. So Jon Kabat-Zinn has been one of these folks, scientist and researcher up in Massachusetts, that did great work in prisons and bringing the concepts of meditation to help people become a little bit more focused, a little bit more calm, and a little bit more, dare we say, compassionate. But not only did he bring the practice of meditation, he did a lot of studies to bring up the evidence and the importance of meditation and how meditation could be part of the avenues that we use on a daily basis. So he picked this specific population because he had done a lot of work with them and also realized that there was a need in there. And that is something very dear to me, bringing meditation, bringing these principles of meditation and mindfulness to everyone. There's not one single person, one single dogma that owns meditation. So excuse me. So meditation it's a precise technique for resting the mind and attaining a state of consciousness that is totally different from the normal state of waking. The idea is not about stopping the world, right, and just escaping, because meditation is an escape of the world, right? You're going to find that we talk a lot in contradictory terms. Meditation is an opportunity to connect with the self. It's an opportunity to tune out of the energy that is bombarding us and to focus inward. It's an opportunity to not just focus, but be in the present moment. Because we are being bombarded with so much information and so much of those mental thoughts in our heads that it's sometimes hard to decipher what is right and what is wrong. Practice of meditation is an opportunity to go inside, to refocus, realign yourself, and connect with that authentic component of who you are, which I think can be very scary for a lot of folks, right? Because it's easier to be living in what some people call the matrix, right? But it's about finding that balance, right? Finding that right balance for you. So we're going to be looking at this a little bit more. Meditation also is not part of any religion. And this is something that's really interesting to me, because when we think about meditation, a lot of folks think about a certain type of Buddhism or Hinduism, but it is not, there's no one religion that owns meditation. Actually, it is a science, which actually means that there's a process to meditation. And this meditation follows a particular order. It has defined principles and produces results that can be verified. Listen, I grew up as a Catholic person, and for me, when we would pray the rosary or when we do any type of prayer, that is a form of meditation. You're focusing on one single component. As a Buddhist, I have my mantras, right? And those mantras are part of that energy that helps me become a little bit more focused, a little bit more in tune in the present moment. So if you look at the different religions of the world and how some of them pray and how some of them realign themselves with the higher power, a lot of that has those basic principles of meditation. So we're going to be exploring some of those. So meditation is a practice. And that's something that's really hard for us to understand. And it was even actually hard for me to understand in the beginning of this. What do you mean this is a practice? Well, actually, it's kind of like, I used to work at Juilliard many years ago. And, the way to get to Juilliard, the way to get to Carnegie Hall is practice, 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 rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. That's what any good athlete will tell you. Well, meditation is practice just the same of the mind, just the same of the spirit. What I enjoy when we talk about the practice is that it's not going to always happen on the first try, that it takes time. And it takes the will and it takes the desire to keep improving. You know, I also used to be a runner. I used to do track and field. I used to play soccer as well. And I didn't always score a goal every game. But the more I played, the better I got, the stronger I got, the more confident I got, and the better I did. And then I was able to attain those goals that I wanted to do, or block some of those goals. So it is a practice. So when we're sitting, when we're standing, or whatever type of meditation that we're doing, we can't always expect that it's going to happen. We're going to reach that level, whatever that level is, on the first try or on the second try. And even though you might find those levels of pure focus and of just being in the present moment, the next day or the next time you do it, you might not be reaching that goal. But the idea is that we keep doing it, right? We keep adding onto it. And with that, we also learn something about ourselves. You know, playing sports, I also got an opportunity every time I failed or every time I didn't do well, I learned something about myself and what I did wrong and what I need to do better. Meditation is the same way. It is the exercise, it is a sport of the mind to reach that goal of being in the moment, whatever that means. All right, so meditation is a skill. And what we're going to be looking at are those different principles that's going to help us begin a meditation practice. So, you know, as we talked about earlier, you know, I am very fortunate to be also a yoga instructor. In one of my classes that I was teaching a couple of years ago, I had a new student, and I was talking to her, and she says to me, "Listen, I'll take your yoga class, but please don't tell me to breathe." I thought about that for a minute. I'm like, you don't want me to tell you to breathe, but I constantly am telling people to breathe. I'm like, all right, let me think about this for a minute. I'm like, all right, come on, take my class. I won't tell you to breathe. I promise you. Well, we started class, and instead of saying breathe, I would just say respira, which actually means breathe in Spanish. So I was honoring her wishes, but I actually found that little loophole, right? So sometimes it's the fear that we have that hesitates us from experimenting something or doing something. And then we set our own limits, right? So she came in, she finally had the desire and the will and you know, the guts to actually take the class, asking me to help her out by not saying breathe. I also had to honor the practice of yoga. So found that balance and just kept on telling her to breathe. And instead of saying breathe, I would say respira. So breathing is a basic yet powerful tool in meditation. And that is where it actually begins. Now, when I ask my students and I ask folks to breathe, most of the times when I tell them to take a deep breath, they actually take a deep breath and they go like this, right? They raise their shoulders, right? And sometimes we do this unconsciously. But the fact is, our lungs are actually not in our shoulders, right? But we all do this, right? You know, a lot of us just like take a deep breath and we do this. And actually, it's actually not benefiting us. Our actual lungs go from, you know, the top of our chest all the way down to the bottom. When in fact, when we tell somebody to breathe, when we want to breathe properly, it's the idea that we want to fill the belly up. It opens up the diaphragm, which then helps open up the lungs to expand, to bring in the oxygen that the body needs. But because we live in a society and a culture where, you know, we have belts, a lot of people wear Spanx or girdles, which is totally fine. But unfortunately, that type of pressure puts a lot of stress on some of our most vital organs, our liver, our kidneys, our intestines, and our stomach. And more specifically, our diaphragm, which then does not allow to expand to bring in that oxygen. So do your best to loosen up, right? And in yoga and in meditation, we always say it's okay to have a belly, even though, you know, it's contrary to what other folks are saying in society. But it's very good to have a belly. And what I enjoy about working from home now is I don't have, you know, I don't feel the pressures of society to wear a belt. So I'm constantly like in sweats or in shorts. So what we're going to do here and what we're going to be showing you is how to breathe properly. Right? So what we want is that idea that when we breathe in, our stomach expands. And then when we breathe out, the stomach comes in. So almost as if focusing on the navel, that belly button comes out. And then when you breathe when you breathe out, the belly button goes all the way back to the spine. And I tell folks that every time we breathe in, we're bringing in newness into our lives and into our hearts and into our bodies and into our lungs. Every time we exhale, it's actually an opportunity to let go of toxins. Those toxins could be energy, those toxins could be the stuff that we put into our body, and the toxins of our minds. The body does that naturally. Every time you breathe in, it's bringing in new oxygen into the blood, and every time you breathe out, we're breathing out carbon dioxide, and other forms of chemicals that are in our body that need to leave. So the goal here is to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. Sometimes you'll have people ask you to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. That is a personal preference. But the goal here when we're breathing is to be focused that we're breathing. So I'll say that again. The idea is that when we're breathing is to be focused that we're actually breathing. It is something that we are constantly doing, whether we are conscious of it or not. When we're sleeping, when we're having a conversation, when we're eating, or when we're by ourselves. That breathing is so essential to life. And many times we're actually not conscious of it. The beginnings of meditation is to actually be conscious of how the breath comes into the body and acknowledge it, to feel where it is coming through the nose. How does it feel? What does it smell like? How does it feel when it goes down the esophagus, when it goes into the chest, when it goes into the lungs? The reaction of the body when we breathe in the same way when we breathe out. How does that actually feel? Where does it come from? Where are you feeling it? And actually by doing that, you're actually beginning the process of meditation. So the goal here is to focus your attention just on your breathing. And we want to focus it so it's to follow the natural rhythm and the flow and to observe how it feels on each inhale and on each exhale. And maybe that is all you do in a meditation, whether if it's for 1 minute, whether if it's for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So we're going to be doing an exercise that's going to just very simple, just feeling the breath, and then we're going to build upon that. So let's practice. So all I want you to do is that if you're sitting beautifully, that's great, or you can feel free to lie down. We're only going to take about 1 or 2 minutes to do this quick little practice. You can actually even do it standing up. We're going to talk in a few minutes about the different ways that you can actually meditate, but it doesn't always have to be in a position with your hands like this in a mantra. But actually a form of meditation is just being in the present moment. So we're going to focus on that breath. So if you can, bring your, if you're seated, make sure that your back is up against your chair and that your feet are on the earth. Right? And I say that because sometimes we forget, wow, I'm actually on this planet. I'm actually part of this earth. So feel your feet on the earth, feel your feet in your shoes or in your sandals. If you're not wearing anything like I am, just my toes, feeling them on the floor here. And just let's take our hands and bring it on our belly. And if you can, do your best to relax the shoulders. You know, so many of us hold tension right in our shoulders. Just allow them to relax and melt away from your ears. Again, bring your hands on top of your belly. If you're comfortable, feel free to close your eyes or bring your eyes to a nice soft gaze. Close your mouth. And let's just take a nice deep inhale. Just deep inhale and deep exhale. Again, through the nose, deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. One more inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Now we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Together, inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. One more inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Just focus on the breath. Feel the breath coming in through the nose. Feel the breath coming out of the mouth. Bring your hands on your belly if they're not there. And see when you inhale, if you can actually push your hands with your belly so the belly actually comes all the way out. And then when you exhale, push that belly in. Let it all out. Let's do this one more time. Inhale, allowing the belly to expand. And exhale, allowing the belly to come all the way back. Just place your hands gently on your laps or on your stomach. Just focus on the breathing. Imagining as if it's just like waves. One breath leads to the other. Beginning of something new. Eradicating the old. And slowly open your eyes if they're not open. All right. So ask yourself, how do you feel? What did you observe? And what's different? And then also maybe what's the same? The goal here is to be mindful of when you're doing your practice, that when you finish the practice, even if it's for 30 seconds, 30 minutes, or an hour, just to do a little check of yourself, just to see how did that feel. And sometimes it's not going to always feel great, and sometimes it's always going to feel amazing. And sometimes you're actually going to say, wow, I want to do that again, or I can't wait to do that again. And also, what did you observe? Where was the mind going? In a few minutes, we're going to do another practice, and we're going to take a look at that mind. But where was the mind going? Did you get bombarded a lot with thoughts and the list that you had to do? Or were you able to find those moments where you were actually focused just on the breath? Also, what is different? And also, what is the same? So these are things that we're going to do 2 more practices, and we're going to build upon them. And these are just some questions that I want you to ask yourself. As you begin your journey into a meditation practice, some people suggest to keep a journal if you're, if that's part of who you are, to keep a journal and just to write down things that you felt. And, maybe maybe you need to know, like, okay, today I did 30 seconds and then this day I did a minute, you build upon it. But it's a great way to see your progress, but it's also a good way to see what is going on in your mind. And you'll realize that by having it written down, you'll see the progression of your practice. You'll see the progression of having, hopefully, less thoughts as you keep doing it. And maybe it's also an opportunity just to check yourself to see, okay, why is my mind going in this way? And why can't I bring my mind back to being singly focused? So mindfulness, and you're going to hear you hear a lot of people talk with meditation and mindfulness, and basically they're almost the same thing. But one definition here of mindfulness is the basic ability to be fully present, which is exactly what meditation is, right? Meditation uses the tool of the breath, right? And it's also about being aware of where you are and what you are doing in the here and the now. Meditation is the practice that helps you get to this point. Meditation is a practice where you find those moments to sit down, to lay down, to focus on the breath, to focus on the breathing, to eliminate those thoughts, to eliminate everything that we're being bombarded with. Mindfulness is something that we can do 24/7. It's about being in the present moment. And the example that I like to give is when you're washing dishes. Are you actually really washing dishes, or are you actually thinking about the food you had? Did it taste good? Did it not taste good? What do you have to do afterwards? Who did you not text? Who do you have to make that phone call? What are those emails that I didn't answer? And everything else. Or are you actually washing the dishes and feeling the water on your hands? Are you actually feeling the soap suds, feeling the plate, the dishes, the cup? Mindfulness, it's about being there. Driving. How many times have you driven somewhere and you don't remember how you got there, right? It's happened to me so many times, right? That I'm like, I ask myself, did I actually stop at that light? Did I stop at the stop sign? How did I find this parking space? Because we become so focused on, well, we don't become focused. We're actually so on automatic that we forget to be in the present moment. And when we're doing something over and over again, it's so easy for the brain and the mind just to be on autopilot, as opposed to not being on autopilot, being in the moment and observing your surroundings. So when you're driving, feeling the steering wheel in your hands, being mindful of the car in front of you, which you should actually always do, right? Being mindful of the lights and what is around you, right? Which is actually what driving is, because of the safety factor, right? We want to make sure that we are being safe. And part of mindfulness is allowing you to be safe, as opposed to being worried and then getting tangled up in those thoughts, getting tangled up in those emotions, getting tangled up in something else that doesn't allow you to be in the present moment. And now with cell phones, I unfortunately see so many folks when they're driving and they're also texting or whatever they're doing on their phone, which is another issue here. But being mindfulness is to get rid of all that, right? Getting rid of the phones, getting rid of the thoughts, and being singly focused. So that's what mindfulness is. So we use those two interchangeably. Mindfulness is the act of doing. Meditation is the actual practice that helps us get there. So when we're looking at meditation, there are an incredible amounts of benefits. Excuse me. And what I wanted to focus on, or just bring to your attention here, are some of the most beneficial components of meditation. And I wanted to focus on number 1 and number 2, and also on number 9. So reduces stress. And we're going to be looking at it from a scientific perspective. But the act of letting go of those thoughts and focusing on a continual basis on the breath and being in the present moment helps eliminate not just stress, but also anxiety. And as somebody who is living with PTSD, I found that meditation, and luckily I was very fortunate to have had a practice of meditation before my incident that led to having PTSD. Very grateful to have had that practice and those skills already. Although it was a challenge, right? We're definitely not saying that just by meditating once or meditating 3 times that we're going to reduce stress and anxiety, because it is a practice. But it helps alleviate some of that energy that stress causes in our bodies. It helps alleviate and control some of that anxiety, right? Because that anxiety is so much of the factors that are around us and those factors within our thoughts. And it's about sifting through all of that darkness to find that light within. So there's some great benefits to it. And it also helps control brain patterns, which we're going to be talking about in a few moments. The thing that it's helped me with the most, it actually improves my sleep. Doing meditation, I do meditation as much as I can throughout the day. I start off my day by meditating, find a moment throughout the afternoon to meditate, and definitely finding moments before I go to sleep to help me meditate, to meditate, to help me sleep better. And that is one of the benefits that I found for myself, because it actually helps me calm those thoughts, reduces my anxiety and the stress that is around us, and the stress that I feel from at work or in relationships or in family. It helps me sift that away to be singly focused, to prepare for the best sleep that I can actually get for that night. Again, it's not going to be great every time because it is a practice, but the more you do it, the more you're going to find those incredible benefits. It also helps control pain. And this is something that that I find as well. I find myself listen, as I do have tattoos, I hate needles though. So the times that I've gotten tattoos, the times that I've gotten blood drawn, meditation and mindfulness has actually helped me out, because it has helped me find being more focused on the breath and not so much focused on what is happening to my body, whether that's getting blood drawn or getting any type of artwork done in my body. So meditation actually helps with pain. And they're doing a lot of great research focusing on looking at what mindfulness is and meditation and pain management. So we're just starting to get to that point in research and in science where we're moving forward with understanding not just the importance of it, but why it's important, and actually how meditation works and what it actually does to the body. And then also, just very quickly, number 11, it helps to control your blood pressure. And going to the doctors, I've always been very nervous about going to the doctors ever since I was a kid, probably some trauma in my childhood, but who hasn't had trauma in their childhood? So going to the doctors, I always get a little bit nervous. And then I found, once I started practicing yoga and practicing meditation, that it actually has helped me control my blood pressure. Not that I have high blood pressure, but that blood pressure, elevates a lot when you're a little bit nervous or anxious. So it helps me control that a little bit more. Also has helped me whenever I do a presentation like this. We always get a little bit stressed and a little bit anxious, which is very normal, right? You need that energy, but if it's too much, you need something to bring yourself down, bring yourself to calm and being a little bit more focused. Meditation has definitely helped me out on many occasions. So the brain activation. Our brain is so constantly being activated on its own, right? That's the job, right? It's a muscle. That's what it does. And there's a lot of great energy that's happening there. However, sometimes when it gets overstimulated, that's when we can see those elements of stress and anxiety and other forms of that, unhealthiness of the brain activation. And I wanted to share with you 3 components of what actually happens in the brain during meditation. So let's focus on the frontal lobe. And just very, very basically, the frontal lobe, this is the most highly evolved part of the brain. It's also responsible for reasoning. It's responsible for planning. It's responsible for emotions, and more importantly, the self-consciousness awareness, right? So this part of that brain is so constantly being activated on a regular basis. A lot of us are constantly planning. As a Pisces, I'm very emotional, right? So, and I get emotions just by reading the newspaper or, having conversations. It's extremely, extremely active. And also the self-consciousness. Earlier when I was talking about how we dress and the clothes that we put on, that energy comes from this part of the brain. Well, actually, when we meditate, and during meditation, the frontal cortex tends to go offline. What actually happens is when we're meditating and removing those thoughts, removing those emotions, removing those reasoning and the planning, that part of the brain begins to calm down just a little bit more. And we're actually now starting to see the scientific perspective of this and the importance of it. Now, listen, we need that frontal lobe, right? We need all of those emotions. We need those self-consciousness, but on a regular basis, too much, 24/7, it's overwhelming. That meditation helps to calm that down and bring us a little bit more focused. The parietal lobe here. This is the part of the brain that processes sensory information about the surrounding world and orientates us to time and space. And what I like about that is that it's about time and space, right? So we're always constantly focused on everything that is around us. Well, too much of that focus is a little overwhelming. What happens during meditation is the activity of that part of the lobe actually begins to slow down, right? The meditation's not about being aware of everything around you. It's about being focused on what's within you, starting with that breath. Removing and I used to work back in the day with these incredible drag queens in central New Jersey doing HIV work, and they taught me this word called conflama. And that conflama, 2 words, conflama, with phlegm, right? So whenever there was a lot of drama going on, they're like, oh, that's too much conflama. So same kind of thing here, right? We want to get rid of the conflama in our lives. We want to get rid of that drama. We want to get rid of all that noise, right? We want to get rid of the time and space, even if it's just for 30 seconds, or even if it's just for 15 minutes or just 2 minutes. So let's get rid of that conflama by focusing on our breath. So that's what meditation does to that part of the brain. And then the last component of it is our thalamus. And now the brain activity is so much more than this, but I just wanted to introduce 3 basic parts of the brain that actually we've seen how meditation actually helps. So the thalamus here, one way to look at the thalamus is that it's the gatekeeper for the senses. So this organ focuses your attention by funneling some sensory data deeper into the brain, and it stops other signals in their tracks. So during meditation, this part of that brain that's right in the center here, meditation actually reduces the flow of all that information that's coming in. So it's kind of like a crossing guard. You can look at it, and in the neighborhood that I live, there's tons of kids that go to the local school that's about a couple of blocks away from here. You see all these, pre-COVID, all these crossing guards that would just stop, right? Stop the traffic, stop that energy to allow the kids to go by. So that those cars, those buses, those trucks is that energy that's coming into the thalamus. Crossing guard is the one that's stopping to allow the kids to cross and get to school safely. Those kids that are crossing can be seen as your authentic self. It's the breath. It is being in the moment and not being bombarded by all of this other conflama, right? So we need the crossing guard, which is the meditation that helps us get to where we want to be, which is to be singly focused and be in the present moment. So we're going to do another practice here and just going to be a quick body scan. So what we're going to do is do the same thing as we did before, focus on the breath, and then I'm going to lead us into a very quick body scan where we're going to go from the top of the head all the way to the bottom. So we're building upon what we just did earlier. So again, find yourself exactly where you are. If you're in a seated position, beautiful. If you want to lay down, please do as well. So bring your hands on your laps this time. Again, let's relax the shoulders. Feel free to close the eyes. Bring your eyes to a nice soft gaze. And just respira. And just breathe. Take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Let it all out. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Bring your hands on your belly to make sure that we're breathing properly. So breathe in through the nose, allowing the belly to expand out. And then exhale, allowing the belly, so actually push the belly. Bring your hands on your lap. Just find your normal breath, your normal flow. Being consciousness of each inhale, feeling it, whether if it's in the nose, in the throat, in the chest, in your belly. Feeling the reaction of each exhale. Where is the exhale coming from? Where is it going to? And as any thoughts come into your mind, just acknowledge those thoughts. And then let them go. Imagining as if those thoughts are just clouds in the sky. Within a few breaths, they will dissipate. And you will discover that light and that energy within. Bring your focus now towards your forehead. And just relax the forehead, allowing it to melt into your beautiful face. Bring your focus now to your eyebrows, into your third eye, that space in between your eyebrows. And just allow them to relax into your faces, releasing any energy that you might be holding on here. Allow the lips to be focused on that energy and on the air that's on the lips. As you release the jaw, allowing for some space to occur between the lips, and just move your jaw from side to side. Releasing any tension you might be holding on into the jaw. And now relax the lips. Feeling the temperature of the air on your lips. The taste of the air. Focusing on the breath. Finding your own flow with each inhale and each exhale. And relaxing the shoulders. Allowing the shoulders to melt down into that beautiful body of yours. Feeling the openingness of your chest with each inhale. Bring your focus now towards your fingertips. And feeling them, whether they're touching each other, they're touching your lap, or they're facing up, and you can feel the air. Bring your focus now towards your feet. Pressing the toes into the earth. Deep inhale, filling the belly. And deep exhale. And again, as those thoughts come into your mind, acknowledge those thoughts and then let them go. One more breath. Bring your awareness towards the present moment of the sounds around you. As you begin to move your fingertips, your mouth to your nose. Feel free to bring the ends of your mouth up a little bit, causing a smile. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Welcome back. Again, so ask yourself, how do you feel? What did you observe? What's different? And what's the same? Again, if you had a journal, it's a great opportunity to write those things down and just to be mindful of what is, how was that little practice compared to the earlier practice. And we're going to be doing one more as well. So when we're incorporating principles of meditation, we want to look at time. So what is that time that you want to start allocating to meditation? And it's, there's that saying that a student went up to his guru and said, you tell me to meditate for 20 minutes and I don't have time. I don't have 20 minutes to meditate, guru. What do I do? And the guru says, meditate for an hour. So the idea here is you got to find time, right? Whatever that time is, right? We find time to eat. We find time to go on social media. We find time to exercise. Find the time that's appropriate for you to begin to build a successful meditation practice. And that time could just be starting off with 1 minute. Finding the moments to sit down and just breathe. I as a former smoker, which I shouldn't be talking about as a public health person, but as a former smoker in my youth, I found out that what actually smoking does is you're actually removing yourself from the space you're in, because we can't smoke indoors. So whether it's your office or a public space, you have to go out. And what you're actually doing is you're taking a deep breath in and you're exhaling all of that. Well, unfortunately, we're breathing in a lot of toxins, a lot of those chemicals, and you're breathing out. But what smokers actually do is they're actually removing themselves from the situation and breathing in and breathing out. So do the same without a cigarette. Do the same. Remove yourself. Find the time to remove yourself from your office, whether it's your office at your home, your office when you get back to work, and finding time to go out to just focus on the breath. Finding time throughout your day. It doesn't have to be in the morning, it doesn't have to be in the afternoon or at evening. Find those moments where you can actually carve out time for yourself to begin this practice, because you owe it to yourself if this is something that you want to do. Right, so starting off with 1 minute and then building to 2 minutes and building to 3 minutes. There is no goal. It's not about, I need to meditate for an hour every day. If that's part of your practice, great. If it isn't, then do the 5 minutes, do the 15 minutes. Do what's going to be best for you to have a successful practice, right? We want you to do what is possible for you to achieve and to be successful. Right? We don't want to set you up for failure, right? We want to find that space, right? What is that space that you can carve out in your home? Maybe it's in your car. Maybe it's outside in your yard or on the beach or when you're hiking or on a mountain. But finding that space for you where you're not going to be bombarded with external information. And more importantly, finding the time and space to turn off your phones, to turn off your screens. It is possible. Maybe it's only 5 minutes, and that's incredible 5 minutes, but make that time worth it. More importantly, be patient with yourself, right? You're going to get a lot of thoughts that come into your mind, and that's perfectly normal. Go back and focus on the breath, right? You may not have had time to meditate today. Okay, well, what could you have done differently? And make sure you apply that for tomorrow. Because what we want to do is build consistency here, right? So if you're a morning person and you want to carve out that time in the morning, do that. Whether maybe it's in the afternoon or mid-afternoon or evening, but finding the time for building consistency within that practice. And if journaling is part of it's part of who you are, then bring in those elements of journaling. And more importantly, explore. That's where I'm at now, is exploring different types of meditation. And at the end of today's presentation, I've got some resources for you to look at and explore different voices. If you like to do guided meditations, maybe it's meditating on a candle, maybe it's meditating on a flower, maybe it's meditating on a picture, but finding that after you focus on your breath, you are singly focused. A great friend of mine got me this beautiful crystal of this angel, and I carry it with me. And this is something that I actually just put on my desk on a constant, it's always on my desk. And I find those moments when I can't really think and I'm bombarded, I just turn everything off and I just focus on this crystal with this angel within. It works for me, right? Find what that works for you, whether that's a picture of somebody or, just a rock, but something that means something to you. Because this practice is personal, right? And nobody can tell you what is right and wrong. We can only give you those skills for you to build that practice for yourself. Again, as I said, remember, it's a practice. So those of you who've seen these types of rocks that people build up, and I see them when I'm on the beach or when I go on hikes, and it's really interesting because you see these rocks, and it's not just you can bring any rocks together, but it's actually finding out what are those types of rocks that help build this little structure here. And sometimes the wave is going to come in and wash that away. A rain is going to come in, or some type of animal or person is going to knock it over. Then you start all over again. And that's what meditation is we get those thoughts that come into our mind, start all over again, focus on the breath, right? But the more you do this, the less interruption you're going to have, and the more stability you'll find, and the more balance you're going to be able to create, not just in your heart and in your soul, but also in our minds. All right, so now let's do a deeper practice. So I invite you all to practice with me. I'm going to go sit up so you can actually see my belly. You can actually see what we're doing, and we got some good music for you all. I like to experiment with different sounds as well. So some of you might be able to hear this. For me, I like to find the sounds of ocean or sounds of birds chirping. Being in New Jersey in the Northeast, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning hearing birds all the time. So that's a natural setting for me. And my dog, right? My dog is part of my life, and she's now learned that when I meditate, not to bother me. So I usually meditate in front of my bed, and what she does is she jumps on the bed and just sits there until I'm done. But before, she used to just stand right in front of me and lick my face and bark at me, and that's part of it, right? That to me is like, oh wow, this is symbolic. She's just like my thoughts. I got to remove, retrain it, right? So I retrained her to sit on my bed as I meditate, right? So same kind of thing, we want to do that with our thoughts. Retrain the thoughts. It's not about ignoring the thoughts forever, but it's telling the thoughts, hey, I'm going to get back to you, but let me take care of this right now. Because the more I take care of myself, the better I'm going to be to help myself reset and recharge. All right. So when I meditate, I like to sit. Sometimes I sit with my legs crossed. Today, because I'm on a stool, I'm not going to do that. What we're going to do here is just bring our feet onto the earth, if you can. I like to bring my hands crossed here and my thumbs touching. That is just my general practice. Sometimes people like to do a little mudra, which is bringing your thumb and middle finger to touch on their knees. Sometimes people like to bring their hands on their laps or their palms facing up. There is no right or wrong way. As I said earlier, it's about exploring. you can, keep the chin parallel with the earth. Just begin to settle into yourself. Nice straight spine. If you would like to lean on something, great. I always like to have a nice little pillow in my back to just support my lower back. Crown of our heads up towards the heavens. Very gently, very compassionately. Slowly close your eyes. As you begin to focus on this practice that we call meditation, there are no set rules, there's no right way of living. Very similar to life. It's about making your life that best suits for yourself. It's about finding your own path and being true to your authentic self. Bring those elements of love, bring those elements of compassion, bring those elements of authenticity. Yoga and meditation and mindfulness are just some tools that will help you get to that point, that will help you live a more truer life for yourself. Bring your focus now towards your back and feeling your back nice and straight. Bring your focus towards your breath as you breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. If you can, take your hands, bring them on your belly. Breathe in and let the belly expand. And exhale, letting the belly go all the way back. Again, breathe in, allowing the belly to expand. And breathe out, exhale, relax the hands, relax the arms. Bringing your focus towards your breath. You're going to breathe in on the count of 3, so 3 counts with that inhale. So breathe in 1, breathe in 2, and exhale 3, exhale 2, exhale 1. Let's bring that to 5, so inhale 1, inhale 2, inhale 3, inhale 4, inhale 5. And exhale 5, exhale 4, exhale 3, 2, 1. Let's bring that to 3. So inhale 1, inhale 2, inhale 3, exhale 3, 2, 1. And now just find your own flow. Being conscious of the inhale, being conscious of the exhale. As those thoughts come into your mind, acknowledge those thoughts and then let them go. Those thoughts will be there when we are done. This moment is for you. This time is for you. This space is for you. And the breath, imagine as if it's just a wave, one going into the other. Bringing newness of life into the body. And each exhale is an opportunity to release whatever it is you're holding on to. as we near the ending of this practice, slowly take the ends of your mouth, bring them up a little bit, creating a beautiful smile on your face. Being mindful of the sounds now around you, the space around you, as you begin through your fingers, your toes, your shoulders, your nose. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. So again, ask yourself, how did it feel? What's different? What's the same? This is your practice, and it's something that's very personal, and it's your journey. So it takes time. I want to thank you for being part of this moment, to being part of the discovery of what meditation can be for us, what it looks like, and also the benefits. If you have any questions, feel free. You can email me here at I still use my TC email. And also, please feel free to connect with me if you would like to on LinkedIn or also on my Instagram account, which is Lucid108, Lucid being aware, 108, one of my favorite scientific numbers. Explore that number, you'll find some incredible benefits and coincidences. More importantly, here are some resources that I wanted to make sure that you all had. And these are some books that I find that ring true to me and my practice in meditation. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, highly recommend this book. And the two books by Jon Kabat-Zinn, Wherever You Go, There You Are, and Coming to Our Senses. Those of you who are interested in exploring some apps, these are two apps that I use, Headspace, which is a lot of fun, and Calm. They also have a lot of different types of meditations. I'm currently doing a 7-day meditation on gratitude. I just finished doing a 7-day meditation on anxiety and stress. So these are 10-minute meditations that have helped me a lot throughout my days, and something again about exploring. And then one of the websites that I really enjoy is Deepak Chopra. There's a lot of free meditations. He's currently doing a 21-day free meditation. And I think he's doing it with DJ Bunny, which is hilarious, but I think it's amazing. So there are some great meditations that are out there for free for folks. So keep exploring and keep exploring to see what is true for you and what resonates for you. And these are some of the references that I use for today's presentation. Once again, I thank you so much for joining us, and it is such a privilege to be part of this journey that we call meditation. And more importantly, I'm going to turn off my music here. More importantly, thank you for TC for just changing my life and being such an important part of the discovery of who I am, not just in terms of my career, but also my health and my life. So thank you very much.
Jhon, thank you so much. This was such a great journey of how we can incorporate meditation in our daily lives, which I feel like is so important now more than ever with everything that's going on. I just want to let everyone know that we will be sharing this recording as well as the references and resources slides with everyone. So you'll be able to see all the research that went through, as well as looking at some of the resources to help you incorporate meditation in your daily lives. Jhon, thank you again for taking the time to share your expertise with the TC community. Teachers College will be planning more digital events in the near future, so please stay tuned to emails from TC, Alumni Relations, and our social media channels. As I mentioned, everyone will be receiving a video recording of this webinar and a follow-up email, and it will also be available on our website. We hope you can join us for our next event, Activating Inclusive Leadership, a Roadmap, with alumna Lois Jeffers on Thursday, July 30th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.